It is October, which is my favorite time of the year. The leaves are changing color. It's pumpkin pie season. Yes! But on this show, we're not just gonna make a pumpkin pie. We gotta go bigger, extra. So how about Milk Bar recipe? I love Milk Bar, and I know that you know that. They have a pumpkin pie cake. Christina Tosi layer cake. We're making that today. Over here, let's do it. There are gonna be 6 different parts of this cake today. It's a big ass cake. So I'm gonna break it up into chapters so that it's easy to understand for you, because when I'm doing it, it's confusing as hell. There's no shortage of things to do right now, so I should get started on the very first part, which is the pumpkin pie cake. So what you're gonna wanna do is get all your ingredients ready to go, rock and roll, mise en place, because when you're making this cake, when you're in the thick of it, things can get a bit messy if you're not organized. Unsalted butter, sugar, light brown sugar, 1 large egg, buttermilk, a neutral oil, I'm using sunflower oil, vanilla extract, cake flour, salt, baking soda, baking powder, ground ginger or regular ginger, nutmeg. Lastly, you're gonna need a can of pumpkin puree. I couldn't find one anywhere. I think that's a problem for a lot of you guys out there that aren't living in the US of A. Tried to order one off Amazon, and shipping alone was gonna cost me 30 pounds. So, you know, I'm just gonna make my own. I've never done it before, but I mean, what do you need besides a pumpkin? First we gotta cut off the top, flip the pumpkin upside down, and I gotta cut it in half. Now we gotta scoop out the pumpkin innards, the seeds and the stringy bits. Save these seeds for a rainy day. So I'm gonna put these bad boys onto my parchment paper lined baking sheet. 1 potato. It's gonna go in the oven, 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 200 and something degrees Celsius for like, how long?
For about 35-40 minutes.
40 years later, what you should be able to do is poke a knife into these pumpkins, and there should be no resistance. You just poke it in, goes in, comes out. Perfect, perfect. Peel the skin right off. This thing is hot as hell, but I gotta get this done. Cut this all up into chunks. Look how hot that is. We need to blend. More pumpkin puree than I know what to do with it. I need a bowl. Cool. In my bowl, I'm gonna add 1 stick of softened butter, white sugar, light brown sugar. Gonna mix this together until it's light and fluffy. Light and fluffy. Add an egg, continue to mix. Firstly, you're just gonna mix it, integrate it for like a minute, then you're gonna turn the mixer to high and mix for like 4 minutes. Now next up, you're gonna need a separate, like smaller bowl. Take 2/3 cups of that fresh pumpkin puree, buttermilk, oil, vanilla. Now I'm just gonna mix these very quickly. I'm gonna take my liquid mixture, gonna add it into my cake batter, but super slowly. It's supposed to take like 3 minutes to add this whole thing in. While the mixer's on, mind you. Medium speed. Straight down the sides of your bowl. Now you're gonna mix this for an additional 2 to 3 minutes, but you don't wanna rush the process. Christina Tosi says, do not rush the process. What you're doing is you're combining a liquid mixture with a fatty mixture. Fatty mixture doesn't wanna let the liquid mixture in, so they're kinda at odds with each other. Your job is to bring them peace, joy, and happiness, and you do that by mixing until the mixture is like pale. Fluffy and about double the size. cake flour, salt, baking soda, baking powder, cinnamon, ground nutmeg. Whisk it. Now you gotta find some ginger, ground ginger if you have it, or just regular old-fashioned ginger. I'm just gonna mince this up. I figure ginger's ginger. Now with the mixer on low speed, I'm gonna add my dry ingredients into my cake batter. Just until it comes together, and mix for like another 45 seconds. Add the batter to a baking dish greased up and lined with parchment paper. Flatten out the top. I'm gonna bake this for 30 to 35 minutes until it's doubled in size and it's puffed up. Halfway through baking it, I'm gonna rotate it in the oven. Poke the edges. There should be a slight bounce back, which there is, and the center should no longer be jiggly. We are on part 2, which is the graham crust crumbs. All-purpose flour, whole wheat flour, light brown sugar. I'm using actual ginger. I think you should use ground ginger, but I don't care. Butter that I'm gonna melt, a little salt, cinnamon. Don't forget the water. Bowl me. Thank you. In this bowl, we're gonna combine our flours, salt, light brown sugar, ginger. Now the recipe I'm reading from Tosi over here tells me to brown butter. I already melted the butter. Why do I need to brown it? So I'm just gonna put it on the stove top on medium-high heat for 5 minutes until it's browned. Brown butter, activate. I'm gonna drizzle the brown butter. Ooh, that's not much of a drizzle. I'm just gonna put it on top, as well as 4 tablespoons of water. Mix this all together. So I got it sandy in texture. Line a baking tray with parchment paper. And I'm gonna bake this for like 20 minutes until these things looking brown and crispy. Crispy? Did I say crispy? I meant crunchy. Was I supposed to add that brown butter to the graham? Brown butter, oh. I think I added the brown butter a bit too early, whatever. Chapter 3, which is the, what's it called? What the hell is going on here? I'm supposed to make a graham crust using those crumbs and other ingredients. So I didn't know that. Okay. We're gonna add our graham crackers, add your sugar, milk powder, a little pinch of salt mixed with your hands, your bowl with your melted butter, add your heavy cream. You're gonna need to whisk this together. And I just bought a miniature whisk. Whoa, yeah. Add the liquid to your dry ingredients. Now the liquid should act as a glue with this stuff. If you grab it and it holds its shape in your hand, like so, that means job well done. Good job. Liquid cheesecake. Chapter 1 egg, 1 egg yolk. A little bit of salt, that's cornstarch, whole milk, sugar, cream cheese. Grease up a baking dish, loaf pan, whatever you got, grease it up. Leftover butter that was sitting on the counter. Add the tub of cream cheese. Mix this on low speed. Add the sugar and mix for like another couple minutes until it's all incorporated. I need another bowl. I'm running out of bowls. In a bowl, another bowl. Cornstarch, just a little salt, mix it together. Slowly but surely add your milk. That wasn't slowly or surely. Whisk it together. Add an egg yolk, mixing until homogeneous. Now with your mixer on, you're gonna slowly stream in this yolk slurry. Pour the cheesecake into the pan. So bake this 25 minutes. The cheesecake needs to be slightly underbaked. If it's still got a bit of a jiggle to it, you gotta add an extra 5 minutes. It's been like 25 minutes so far. Tell me good news. Hasn't browned yet. Got my brown butter graham crust from my previous chapter. Remember this? What I need to do is combine them. However, the recipe isn't completely clear on how to do so. It just says put them in a bowl. I'm assuming that I'm gonna be mixing them together. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna go for it. Now I'm gonna put this in the fridge until I need it. I made all these graham cracker crumbs with the brown butter, remember that? But the recipe also says I need pie dough crumbs. But why do I need more crumbs if I already have these crumbs? So I'm just gonna ignore the pie dough crumbs and use my graham cracker crumbs. Chapter 5 or 4. Chapter 4 or 5. Pumpkin ganache. White chocolate, salt, cinnamon, butter, homemade pumpkin puree, glucose syrup, heavy cream, as cold as possible. Put that in there until I need it. Add the white chocolate, the butter. We're gonna be microwaving these. 15-second intervals until it's completely melted. The result should be warm to touch. I've added it to a container that is perfect for a hand blender. Now take your glucose syrup and you're going to heat this up in the microwave for 15 seconds. And immediately add it into the chocolate mixture. Now we're gonna blend this up with our hand mixer for a minute. Stream in your very cold cream. Keep the blender running if you can. I can't, not Superman. Let's add our pumpkin puree, salt, cinnamon. Now once that comes together, let's add it to a container. Seal her up, put her in the fridge. Now that needs to firm up completely. Recipe says 4 hours or overnight. Toasted pepitas. Now this is an easy one. What you need are pepitas. Pepita, which is pumpkin seed without the shell. Quickly just add your pepitas and some salt, toss-a-roni, baking dish, parchment paper, pepitas in the oven for 10-15 minutes till they start to brown. These pepitas are chatty. Hear that? Chatty Cathy's. We are ready to assemble the cake. Invert your pumpkin cake. Take the parchment paper off. You will need a 6-inch cake ring. Now I've explained this in past videos, 3 past videos actually. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut out 2 pretty pieces of the cake, and then you're going to use the scraps as the bottom layer. Oh! This cake is a bit more fragile than my previous efforts. This piece cracked through the middle. This piece is very fragile. So I really just gotta be extra careful from here on out. Scrap pieces. These are strips of acetate that I just cut into a size of my choosing. Put these in the cake ring. Firstly, add your bottom layer, which is all the scrap pieces. You're gonna take your knuckle and you're gonna, yes. Wait, isn't there some sort of milk, a milk soak? Do I need a milk soak? Do I need a milk soak? Now with some whole milk and a pastry brush, drizzle this milk on this bottom layer of cake. A nice, healthy bath. Now you're gonna take your graham cracker cheesecake and you're gonna spread half of it onto the bottom layer. Now take 1/3 of your graham crumbs and you're gonna sprinkle them on top of the cheesecake layer. 1/3 of your pumpkin ganache, and that goes on top of the crumbs. Your second piece of cake, that goes on top. Oops, shit. Now repeat all the steps you just did. Healthy milk wash, the remaining cheesecake, crumbs. Now put your prettiest, most perfect layer of cake on the very top. But remember how fragile it is. Oh, yes. Remaining ganache, I have quite a bit. I'm gonna put all of it on the very top just to give it a little bit more volume. You can check out the height on this bad boy. Holy cow. Look at my hand. Cake skyscraper. My personal preference when I'm decorating the top of this cake is just going around the perimeter. I feel like if I go anywhere in the middle, it looks a bit too jumbled. It's my honest opinion. So, I mean, you can if you want. I'm just gonna go around though. Lastly, the pièce de résistance, pepitas. This is one heavy mofo. It goes into the freezer to set and to firm up Recipe says minimum 12 hours. We'll see about that. Shit. If you have a freezer like this that comes out like this, be careful because when this door dips down, cake's also gonna dip down with it, and if it's not set into place, it's gonna topple over, which mine almost did. Oh. Delicious, very delicious. You can't go wrong with these layer cakes. To me, they're just so fascinating. Like before I started this show, I had no idea that someone could just put all these very interesting and unique ingredients and peculiar ingredients into a bowl together, mix them all up and come up with these types of cakes. Like, I don't know how you think of that kind of stuff. I don't know how Christina Tosi thought that if she just put all these ingredients together that you'd get something as delicious as this. Who'd have thunk it? But she does, and you gotta give her a lot of credit for that. But they're heavy. It is a heavy cake. Have like a small slice because it's kind of counting as 3 slices because of all the layers. Whew, it's heavy. I'm not gonna eat all this. I'm giving this one away. I just wanted to have a little slice. The liquid cheesecake, I kind of have to put this in the... I had it on the table for too long and I think I had to put it in the freezer. The liquid cheesecake was melting. Well, now that I don't have my cake, it's kind of lonely out here. Okay, there is one last thing I want to bring up, and it's in regards to the cookbook I used today, the All About Cake cookbook by Christina Tosi, obviously. For the pumpkin pie layer cake, she says, first couple sentences here, let's face it, not many people besides my mom really love pumpkin pie. It's just one of those things that's always on the table around the holidays because people love the idea of it. What? No, I love it. I love pumpkin pie. I love pumpkin pie. Don't agree. That's all I got today. Jesus. There's construction going on outside my door, so what you don't see when I'm making this today is me waiting in between each thing that I'm doing for this sound to go away. And then the dust came into my apartment, the dust everywhere from the contractors outside. Oh my God. Okay guys, that is all I got today. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you did and you are not subscribed, you should definitely subscribe. Why not? If you're already a subscriber, then that does not apply to you and you're awesome. You're awesome. A shout out to all my Patreon producers right up here. Huge shout out to those guys, and if you're interested in that, you can follow the link in the description. But I think that's it. I'll see you guys soon.